The colony of Vera 9 was not a world of beauty. Its sky was gray most days, its soil cracked and dry. Long ago it had been chosen as a mining outpost, a place where alien clans could dig out valuable ores. But war had swept across the stars, and now Vera 9 was nothing more than a shadow of itself. Amid the ruins of a once thriving settlement lived Siralen, a widow. Her husband had fallen during the raids when a band of merciless pirates struck their people. She had been left behind with 2 children, Tali and Rin, who were far too young to carry the weight of hunger and fear on their shoulders. Her people, the Varians, were proud in the old days. They followed clans and traditions where men fought and women kept homes. But in these harsh times, traditions meant little. The strong clans still held power, while the weak were left to starve. Siralen was among the weak. Her small shelter was made from patched metal sheets and broken stone. She worked hard every day, trading scraps for food, begging for water, and trying to teach her children not to lose hope. But each day was harder than the last. The children's stomachs growled, their eyes grew hollow, and Siralen knew that, if something did not change, they would not last the next season. One afternoon, as the cold wind swept through the broken streets, Siralen watched her children search for scraps among the ruins. Her heart ached. She wished her husband was alive. She wished her clan had not turned its back on her, but wishes did not feed children. Then she saw him. Across the broken marketplace, a group of humans worked on repairing machines. The humans had come to Vera 9 years ago. At first, the Varians thought of them as strange creatures from a distant, death world. They were taller, stronger, and lived differently. Instead of clans, they built communities. Instead of leaving the weak behind, they protected them. Siralen had always watched them from afar. Among the humans, there was one who stood out to her. His name was Marcus Hale. He was not loud like some of the others, not a soldier or a leader. He was a mechanic, always working with tools, fixing broken machines that others had given up on. Siralen had once seen him repair an old water purifier in just a day, saving an entire block of homes from thirst. The people, human and alien alike, respected him for his skills. But it wasn't his skill that caught her heart. It was the way he treated children. Whenever the human children ran past, Marcus would pause from his work, smile, and hand them small trinkets he had made from spare parts. A spinning toy, a little light, a carved piece of metal shaped into an animal. Her own children had stopped to watch once. They had stared at the human toys with wide eyes. Marcus had noticed them, and instead of shooing them away like most humans did to alien children, he had crouched down and offered them a small wooden bird. Her son Rin had clutched that bird for days. Even now, it was his most precious possession. Siralen could not stop thinking about it. That evening, as she cooked the last of their dried roots for dinner, her children asked her questions. "Mother," Tali whispered, "why do the humans share food with each other?" "Because," Siralen answered softly, "they live differently. They care for one another." "Would they care for us?" Rin asked with innocent eyes. Siralen did not answer. She only looked at the small, wooden bird in his hand and felt her chest tighten. The thought struck her like a thunderbolt. She could not save her children alone. Her clan had abandoned her. Her husband was gone. The other widows looked away when she begged, but maybe, just maybe, a human would help. The idea was foolish. No alien in her memory had ever joined their life with a human. Her people would call her shameless, but shame would not keep her children alive. For days she struggled with the thought. Every time she saw Marcus at work, every time she saw her children grow weaker, the decision grew heavier in her heart. Finally, one night, after the children fell asleep, she whispered to herself, "I will ask him, even if he says no. I must ask." The next morning was cold. Thin frost covered the ground and the air smelled of rust and smoke. Sierra Len dressed her children in their patched clothes and led them to the marketplace. They were nervous, holding her hands tightly. She told them only that they were going to see the mechanic. Marcus was there, as always, working on a broken generator. Sparks flashed as his tools struck metal and sweat glistened on his brow. When he saw her approach, he stopped and straightened. His blue eyes met hers. "Do you need something fixed?" he asked in his simple, steady voice. Sierra Len hesitated. Her mouth was dry. Her heart pounded. The words she had rehearsed for nights tangled in her throat. Her children clung to her robes, staring up at Marcus with wide eyes. Finally, she bowed her head and spoke. "Human, Marcus Hale," she said softly. "I am Sierra Len. I am a widow. My children are hungry. My people have cast me aside. I cannot give them a future alone." Marcus frowned, setting down his tools. He looked at the children, then back at her. "What are you asking me?" he said carefully. Her voice trembled, but she forced the words out. "I ask you to take me as your wife. Take my children as your own. Please. I beg you." The marketplace went silent. Other aliens stopped and stared. A few humans turned their heads in surprise. No one had ever heard such a request before. Marcus stood frozen, his eyes wide. The weight of her words hung in the cold air. Sierra Len dropped to her knees, tears slipping down her face. "I have nothing to offer," she whispered. "But if you take us in, we will serve, we will work, we will give all we have. Just do not let my children fade away." Her children clutched her arms, confused and frightened. Marcus opened his mouth, then closed it again. For the first time, the calm and steady mechanic seemed shaken. He had fixed machines, built homes, and repaired water lines. But now, standing before a desperate widow and her starving children, he faced something no tool could mend. The silence stretched. The silence in the marketplace stretched like a long shadow. Sierra Len remained on her knees, trembling, while her children clung to her sleeves. Around them, the alien clans whispered in shock. Some muttered insults under their breath, calling her shameless. Others simply stared, curious to see how the human would respond. Marcus Hale stood frozen. His strong hands, calloused from years of repairing machines, twitched slightly, as though unsure where to rest. His eyes moved from the widow to her children, then to the watching crowd. "Why me?" he had asked. Sierra Len lifted her head. Her golden eyes glistened with tears. "Because," she said in a broken voice, "you are not like the others. You share, you protect, you fix what is broken. I have nothing left but my children. If I cannot keep them safe, then I must find someone who can." The crowd stirred. A few aliens scoffed. "She humiliates herself before the Death Worlder." One elder spat. "Better she let her children starve than shame our people," another muttered. But others looked uncertain. The humans among them shifted uncomfortably. Marcus did not answer. Instead, he bent down slowly and reached out, lifting Sierra Len gently to her feet. "Stand," he said firmly. "Do not kneel to me." Her heart raced. She searched his face for an answer, but none came. He only turned to the crowd. "This is no place for such talk," he said. "Go back to your homes." The humans nodded and began to leave. The aliens hesitated, then scattered reluctantly, whispering as they went. When the square was nearly empty, Marcus faced Sierra Len again. "You and your children should come with me," he said. Her breath caught. "You mean—" "I don't mean anything yet," he interrupted, his voice steady. "But you should not beg in the streets. We'll talk in private." Marcus's home was small, built from old colony metal and human ingenuity. It sat near the edge of the settlement, where machines hummed and half-broken generators lined the ground. Inside, the air was warm. Tools lay neatly on shelves, and a small fire burned in a metal stove. The children gasped as they entered. Compared to their crumbling shelter, Marcus's home felt like a palace. "Sit," Marcus said, pointing to a bench. Sierra Len obeyed, pulling her children close. Marcus poured them cups of clean water. The children drank eagerly, and for the first time in weeks, color returned to their cheeks. Marcus sat across from them, his face unreadable. "Do you understand what you asked of me?" he said finally. Sira-Len lowered her eyes. "I do, and I know it is foolish. My people will hate me. Your people may laugh at you, but I have no choice left. My children will not survive the next season if I remain alone." Marcus leaned back, arms crossed. His gaze was sharp, but not cruel. "You ask me to take responsibility for you and your children," he said. "That is no small thing. Marriage among my people is not a simple matter. It is not a trade or a deal. It is a vow." Sira-Len's voice shook. "I will honor it. I will serve. I will—" Marcus raised a hand to stop her. "This isn't about serving, it's about family." Her breath caught again. Family. Among her people, family was tied to clan, bloodline, and power. But the way he said it, it was different. He looked at the children who were staring back at him with wide eyes. "What are your names?" he asked gently. The little girl spoke first. "Tali." The boy followed, clutching his wooden bird. "Rin." Marcus nodded. "Tali. Rin. If I were to accept this, if I were to bring you into my life, I would not treat you as outsiders. I would treat you as my own. Do you understand?" The children looked confused, but they nodded. Sira-Len whispered, "You would be their father?" Marcus's jaw tightened. "If I choose this path, yes." The widow's eyes filled with tears again. Word of what had happened spread quickly. By evening, both the human camp and the alien clans were buzzing with talk. Some humans supported Marcus. "He's always taken responsibility. If anyone could do this, it's him." Others doubted. "A human and an alien widow? It will only cause trouble." The alien clans were harsher. Elders spat curses. "The widow shames us all. She gives herself to a human? Better she had died." But not all agreed. Some younger aliens whispered among themselves. "The humans take care of each other. Maybe she is wise." That night, Marcus sat alone in his workshop. He stared at the tools on his bench, his thoughts heavy. He had never thought of marriage. His own family was far away, light years across the stars. He had come to Vera 9 only to work, to build, to survive. But now, in his small home, 2 alien children slept on his bedroll, and their mother sat awake by the fire, watching over them. He studied her quietly. Her skin, marked with faint silver, patterns of her species glowed softly in the firelight. Her face was worn from hardship, but her eyes held fierce determination. When she noticed him looking, she spoke. "You think I am foolish?" Marcus shook his head. "No. I think you are brave." She blinked in surprise. "Brave?" "Yes," he said simply. "It takes courage to ask for help, especially like this." Her lips trembled. No one had ever called her brave. Not her clan, not her husband, not even herself. Marcus leaned forward, resting his arms on the table. "I need time to think," he admitted. "This choice is not only about me. It will affect the humans, and it will anger the alien clans. But I will not leave you to starve. That much I promise." Sira-Len bowed her head. "Thank you." The next day, a meeting was called in the settlement. Humans and aliens gathered in the council hall, a wide building made of salvaged steel. Marcus stood at the front with Sira-Len and her children beside him. The alien elders shouted first, "This cannot be allowed. She humiliates us all. Humans and Varians should not mix." Some humans crossed their arms. Why should it matter? He chooses for himself. The argument grew louder, voices echoing off the steel walls. Finally, Marcus raised his hand. His voice cut through the noise like a blade. "Enough." The hall fell silent. "I have made my decision," he said. His eyes swept the room, steady and unyielding. "Sira-Len and her children will live with me. I will take responsibility for them. I don't care if you call it marriage, adoption, or something else. They are mine now, my family, Gasps filled the room. Some humans nodded in respect. Many aliens shouted in outrage, but Marcus stood firm, his hand resting protectively on Rin's shoulder. "This is my choice," he repeated, "and no elder or council will change it." That night, the settlement buzzed with talk. Some humans admired Marcus's courage. He did what no one else would do. Others shook their heads. He's inviting trouble. The alien clans were furious. The elders threatened to cast Sira out completely. They warned Marcus that if he continued, he would be treated as an enemy. But Marcus did not flinch. He spent the evening repairing a broken cooking stove for Sira, while the children laughed softly nearby. For the first time in many months, Sira felt hope bloom in her chest. Her children were safe, at least for now, and Marcus Hale, the quiet human mechanic, had chosen to stand with them. But in the shadows of Vera 9, danger stirred. Raiders had heard of the settlement's growing strength. They watched from afar, waiting for the right time to strike again. Marcus Hale had always lived a quiet life. His days were filled with tools, machines, and the endless work of keeping the settlement alive. But now, things were different. His home was no longer silent. Instead, it was filled with the sound of small feet running, soft laughter, and the voice of a widow trying her best to help in a world she did not fully understand. Sira and her children had moved into his house only 3 days ago, but the change felt much larger, heavier, like the start of something he had never prepared for. The first morning was awkward. Sira rose early, standing near the stove, unsure how to use it. She tried to heat water by placing a pot too close to the fire, and smoke filled the room. Marcus rushed over, pulling the pot away. "No," he said simply, coughing through the haze. He showed her how to set it properly on the grate. "Like this." Sira lowered her eyes. "I am sorry. In my home, the fire was different." Marcus softened his tone. "You'll learn." The children sat quietly, watching. Tali hugged her knees while Rin clutched his wooden bird as though it were treasure. Marcus handed them pieces of flatbread. "Eat." Their eyes widened. They ate slowly at first, then faster, unable to hide their hunger. Sira bowed her head. "Thank you." Marcus only nodded. The days passed. Marcus continued his work as mechanic, fixing broken machines, patching generators, and repairing water lines. But now, when he came home, he was not alone. Sira tried to help. She cleaned his tools, though she sometimes put them in the wrong place. She cooked meals, though the food often came out too bitter or too dry. She washed the clothes, though her hands bled from the rough human fabric. Marcus corrected her mistakes with patience. At first she thought he was angry, but she soon realized he was only teaching her, the same way he taught his apprentices. Children grew bolder. Tali followed Marcus when he worked, asking questions about machines. Rin carried scraps of metal to him, pretending to be his little helper. One evening, Marcus carved a small knife from wood and gave it to Tali. "For whittling," he explained. Her eyes lit up. She clutched it to her chest. For Rin, he built a tiny cart with wheels. The boy laughed for the first time in weeks, rolling it across the floor until he fell asleep beside it. Sira watched in silence. Her chest ached, but not from sorrow, from something else, something she had not felt since before the raids. Hope. But outside their home, trouble brewed. The alien clans did not stay silent. Elders gathered in hidden places, furious that one of their widows had dared to live with a human. "She has broken our ways," one growled. "She has dishonored us," another spat. "And the human," a third hissed. "He mocks us by keeping her." They warned Marcus to give her up. They threatened to cut off trade with the humans. Some even whispered of violence. But Marcus did not bend. When the elders confronted him in the marketplace, he stood firm, Sira and the children behind him. "You call this dishonor," he said, his voice steady. "I call it family. If you cannot see the difference, then that is your weakness, not mine." The aliens muttered angrily, but some younger ones looked thoughtful. A few even glanced at Cyrillenne with quiet respect. At home, Cyrillenne felt the weight of it. They hate me, she whispered one night, staring at the fire. I hear their words, they say I am shameful. Marcus looked at her across the flames. Do you care what they say? Her hands trembled. I don't know. He leaned forward. Your children are alive, they laugh now, they eat. They sleep without fear, does that matter more? Her eyes filled with tears. She nodded silently. Still, the tension grew. One afternoon, as Marcus worked on a broken water pipe, a group of alien men approached him. Their eyes were hard, their voices sharp. Give her up, one said. She is not yours. Marcus did not look up from his work. She asked for my help. I gave it. That makes her mine. The alien snarled. If you keep her, you will regret it. Finally, Marcus stood. His tall frame cast a shadow over them. His voice was calm but cold. I don't make threats, he said. But I don't run from them either. Leave. The men hesitated. They saw the strength in his eyes, the unyielding weight of a man who had lived on a death world. Then they turned and left, muttering curses. Cyrillenne had seen it all. That night she whispered, You risk yourself for us. Marcus shrugged. That's what fathers do. Her heart nearly stopped. Fathers. He had said it so easily, as though the children were already his. But even as family grew inside his home, danger grew outside. The raiders had returned to the edges of Vera 9. They scouted the settlement, watching the humans and aliens argue among themselves. They saw weakness, and when raiders smelled weakness, they struck. The night of the attack came with fire. Screams shattered the silence as ships descended, blasting the outer walls. Aliens scattered in panic, their clans too divided to fight. Marcus woke instantly, pulling on his boots. He grabbed his old rifle, a weapon he had kept hidden for years. Stay here, he told Cyrillenne. But she grabbed his arm. No, you cannot face them alone. He looked at her firmly. I will not let them take the children. The ground shook as explosions lit the sky. The children cried out, clinging to their mother. Marcus knelt in front of them. His voice was steady, even as fire raged outside. Tali, Rin, listen to me. You stay with your mother. No matter what happens, you stay with her. Understand? They nodded through their tears. Then Marcus turned, rifle in hand, and stepped into the night. The settlement was chaos. Raiders stormed the streets, armored and armed. Aliens fled, but the humans stood their ground, forming a defense line. Marcus, a human shouted. We need you. He joined them without hesitation, firing at the raiders with deadly precision. His steady aim cut through the enemy, holding the line. But the raiders were many, and they pushed hard. Back in the house, Cyrillenne held her children close. She could hear the gunfire, the shouts, the screams. Her heart pounded. She could not. Stay hidden. She looked at her children. Stay here, she whispered. Do not move. Before they could protest, she grabbed a blade from Marcus's workbench and ran into the night. The battle raged. Marcus fought like a man possessed, protecting not only his own people but the aliens who cowered behind walls. His rifle cracked, his fists struck, his voice carried strength. Cyrillenne found him in the chaos, fighting off 3 raiders at once. Without thinking, she threw herself into the fray, her blade flashing. Together, they pushed the attackers back. For the first time, Marcus saw her not as a desperate widow but as a warrior in her own right. Their eyes met in the firelight. No words were needed. They fought side by side, human and alien, husband and wife in all but name. By dawn, the raiders retreated. The settlement lay in ruins, but it still stood. The humans had held the line. The aliens had fled, but they had also seen. They had seen Marcus fight for them. They had seen Cyrillenne fight beside him. Whispers began to spread. Perhaps the humans were not just Deathworlders. Perhaps they were something more. As the sun rose, Marcus returned to his home. Tali and Rin ran to him, crying with relief. He lifted them both into his arms. exhausted but alive. Cyrillenne stood beside him, her blade stained, her eyes bright with pride. For the first time, she did not feel like a widow. She felt like part of something new. Marcus looked at her, his voice rough from battle. "This is only the beginning," he said. The sun rose slowly over Vera 9, casting a weak orange light over the settlement. Smoke still curled from the burned-out outer buildings where raiders had struck. Humans and aliens alike moved among the rubble, repairing what they could, salvaging what they could, and burying what was lost. Marcus Hale walked through the streets, rifle slung over his shoulder. His eyes scanned every alley and doorway. Every shadow could hide danger. But the battle was over for now. The raiders had been driven back, forced to retreat into the dark reaches of the colony's rocky terrain. Beside him, Cyrillenne carried a small pack of supplies. Her face was streaked with soot and her clothes were torn. Her hand still trembled from the fight, but she moved with quiet determination. She had fought alongside Marcus, wielding a small blade with precision and courage. For the first time, she did not feel like a helpless widow. Her children, Tali and Rin, followed closely, clutching small knives Marcus had given them for protection. They were still too young to fight effectively, but they had learned courage in the last battle, and their eyes now glimmered with pride. The alien clans, however, were not pleased. Word of the humans' resistance and Marcus's leadership had spread quickly. Elders and clan leaders gathered in secret, angered that one of their widows had not only survived, but fought alongside a human. "She has dishonored us," one elder growled. "And he, that human, he mocks our ways. We cannot allow this." Another elder nodded. "We will summon them to the council. We will demand the widow and her children be returned. We must show that our traditions still hold power." That evening, a formal summons arrived. Cyrillenne and Marcus were to appear before the alien council, along with witnesses from both humans and aliens. The council chamber was a large circular hall built from stone and steel, adorned with symbols of alien authority. Inside, dozens of alien leaders sat in high chairs around the room. Their eyes were sharp, filled with anger and disbelief. They whispered to one another as Cyrillenne, Marcus, and the children entered. Marcus walked in first, calm and steady. Cyrillenne followed, her children close to her. For a moment, the room seemed to hold its breath. The council leader, an elderly alien with silver streaks in her hair, spoke first. "You bring shame to your people," she said, addressing Cyrillenne. "You beg a human to take you and your children. You dishonor the memory of your husband and the customs of your clan." Cyrillenne bowed her head. "I have only one concern," she said softly. "My children, their lives, they are my responsibility. If I could not find help from a human, they would have starved." Another elder barked. "You should have died. That is what your husband's clan would have demanded." Cyrillenne looked up. Her voice shook, but her eyes were strong. "I do not fear your words. I fear nothing more than the death of my children." All eyes turned to Marcus. The humans in the room shifted uneasily. They had been warned that the council could be harsh, but Marcus did not flinch. "I am a human," he said simply. "I do not follow your customs. I follow my own, and by my rules. This is my family. Cyrillenne and her children are under my protection. I will not abandon them, no matter what you say." The council erupted in whispers. Some humans were impressed. Some aliens were furious. One elder shouted, "You are a death worlder. You have no right to claim an alien widow as your own. Do you understand what you do?" Marcus did not flinch. "I understand. I also understand what it means to protect those who cannot protect themselves. That is my right, and it is my duty." Cyrillenne's hands trembled as she gripped Marcus's arm. She had never seen him speak so fiercely. There was a power in his voice that silenced the council. For the first time, some of the alien elders hesitated. The council leader slammed her clawed hand on the table. "You are defying generations of tradition. You are bringing chaos to our people." Marcus stepped forward, his eyes steady. "Tradition means nothing if it kills children. I do not fear your anger. I fear only the death of those who need me." My choice is made. You can try to stop me, but I will not step back. A heavy silence filled the chamber. The younger aliens whispered to each other. Some nodded slowly, some looked thoughtful. Even the human settlers held their breath. Cyrillenne stepped forward beside him. You speak of tradition, she said. But tradition left me alone. Tradition left my children starving. I have chosen life, and I will not regret it. The council murmured. The elders were used to fear, used to obedience. They were not used to defiance, especially not from a widow and a human. Outside the council chamber, news of the confrontation spread quickly. The settlement buzzed with whispers. Humans and aliens alike discussed the courage it took to stand against centuries of expectation. You heard him, one human said. Marcus Hale doesn't back down. He'll protect anyone he chooses. I never thought a human could challenge our elders, whispered a young alien woman. And she, Cyrillenne, she is brave. She fought with him. She chose her children over shame. Even among the older, more traditional aliens, a few heads nodded in secret approval. Perhaps the humans had shown them a different way. Back at Marcus's home, life continued under a tense but growing calm. Cyrillenne worked alongside Marcus to repair the house, clean the tools, and care for the children. Tali and Rin began to adapt to the new routines, learning not only human ways but also strength from their mother. Marcus taught them to use tools safely, to understand machines, and to defend themselves. He never hid the dangers of the world from them. You have to know how to survive, he said. But survival is more than fighting. It is protecting those who cannot fight. Cyrillenne watched the children and Marcus, feeling a deep sense of gratitude and awe. She had never imagined a life like this, one where humans and aliens could live together, where strength came from love and loyalty rather than fear. But danger was not finished with them. The raiders, who had been forced to retreat in the last attack, had not forgotten the humans' resistance. They watched from the rocky edges of the colony, planning their next strike. They had underestimated humans once, and they would not make the same mistake again. One evening, as the settlement settled into a fragile peace, scouts reported movement near the outer cliffs. Raiders were approaching, larger in number than before. Marcus gathered the human settlers and the willing alien allies. His voice was calm but commanding. They will come, he said. We cannot hide. We defend. We protect. We fight together or we fall alone. Are you ready? The settlers nodded, some with fear, some with determination. Marcus did not offer speeches or false comfort. He only led, steady and unwavering. Cyrillenne watched him, her hands tightening around her children. She knew that the next battle would not only test their strength but also the bond they had formed. Marcus, she whispered, we can face them together. He nodded, his eyes scanning the horizon. Together. As night fell, the settlement prepared for war. Barricades were reinforced, weapons distributed, and families moved to safer shelters. Tali and Rin clung to their mother, listening to the sounds of hammering, shouting, and distant cries. Cyrillenne whispered stories to them, not of fear, but of courage. Your father will protect us, she said, using the word Marcus had claimed without hesitation. And we will protect each other. The children repeated it softly like a prayer, and in the shadows Marcus walked the perimeter, rifle ready, eyes sharp. He was no longer just a mechanic. He was a protector, a father, a human standing between life and death, holding the future in his hands. The raiders approached, and the air seemed to grow heavier with tension. The first fires were lit on the cliffs. The sound of alien war cries echoed across the rocky terrain. Marcus tightened his grip on his rifle and looked back at the small home where Cyrillenne and the children waited. He knew this fight would be the hardest yet, but he also knew one truth. They were family now, and family fought together no matter the cost. The dawn of Vera 9 was different this time. Smoke from distant fires painted the sky in red and orange. The settlement was quiet, almost too quiet. Every human and willing alien had gathered along the barricades, waiting. Marcus Hale walked among them, checking weapons and supplies. His eyes scanned every corner of the rocky cliffs surrounding the colony. Raiders were approaching again, more numerous than before, more determined than ever. Beside him, Sira carried her children close, their small hands clutching hers tightly. She was no longer a trembling widow. She had fought before, defended her family, and learned what it meant to stand together with Marcus. Tali and Rin were silent, eyes wide as they watched the adults prepare for the coming battle. Marcus knelt before them, placing his hands gently on their shoulders. "Stay close to your mother," he said. "Watch, learn, but do not be afraid. We fight to protect, not to scare." The children nodded, feeling a courage that came from trust and love. The first wave of raiders appeared just as the sun fully rose. Their ships hovered low, engines screaming across the rocky ground. Raiders on foot and in armored vehicles charged toward the settlement. Marcus moved quickly, directing humans and allies alike. "Form the outer line. Protect the civilians. Hold the barricades." Sira worked beside him, directing younger aliens to safe spots and helping those injured in previous attacks. She shouted instructions with clarity and authority. She was no longer a helpless widow. She was a mother, a leader, and a warrior. The first clashes were brutal. Raiders crashed against barricades, weapons flashing, explosions ripping through the ground. Marcus fought with calculated precision, taking down attackers with a combination of rifle fire and hand-to-hand combat. But the human line was small, and the raiders were many. It seemed as if they might break through. Then Sira saw a group of young aliens hesitating on the edges of the fight. They had witnessed the humans' strength before, but fear still held them back. She ran toward them, her blade gleaming in the sunlight. "Fight. Protect your homes. Protect your people." Her courage inspired them. They joined the battle, and suddenly the human line did not feel so thin. In the midst of chaos, Marcus spotted a raider aiming for the children's shelter. Without hesitation, he sprinted forward, firing at the attackers and shielding civilians with his body. Sira followed close behind, guiding the children to safety. Tali and Rin clutched her arms, trembling, but their eyes shone with a mix of fear and excitement. They had never seen their parents so determined, so unyielding. "Stay here," Marcus shouted over the noise. "No matter what happens, stay together." The battle raged for hours. Humans and aliens fought side by side, a mixture of raw courage and strategy. Marcus coordinated defenses, guided inexperienced fighters, and used every skill he had learned over years of living on dangerous worlds. Sira proved herself again and again. She fought fiercely, her movements precise, protecting those who could not defend themselves. Her children watched, learning what it meant to be brave. At the height of the battle, Marcus and Sira found themselves back-to-back in the center of the human line, fending off raiders trying to breach the barricade. "They are too many," Sira shouted, parrying a strike from a raider's blade. "Then we make fewer of them alive." Marcus shot back, taking down a raider with careful aim. Their coordination was perfect. Every time one attacked, the other covered. Every time one faltered, the other supported. For a moment, time seemed to freeze. They were not human and alien, widow and mechanic, outsider and settler. They were one unit, one family, standing together against impossible odds. The battle lasted until the sun was high in the sky. Slowly, the raiders began to retreat, recognizing that the humans and their new allies could not be broken. Marcus stood at the forefront, breathing heavily, blood and sweat mixing on his face. Sira knelt beside the children, holding them tightly. The settlement had survived, and for the first time in months, hope returned. People emerged from hiding places, cheering quietly. The humans who had fought alongside Marcus were exhausted, but alive. The younger aliens, who had joined the battle, looked at Sira with newfound respect. Even some of the older alien leaders could not deny the truth. Their traditions had been challenged, and in doing so, they had witnessed the strength of choice, courage, and unity. A few days later, the Alien Council reconvened. This time, they were not seeking punishment. They were seeking answers. The council leader addressed Marcus directly. "You defied our customs. You claimed a widow and her children as your own, and yet, you have saved them, You have protected the settlement. How is this possible? Marcus stepped forward, calm and steady. Family is not about bloodlines or customs. Family is about loyalty, sacrifice, and love. I made a choice to protect those who could not protect themselves. That is what it means to be a family, the council murmured among themselves. Some elders nodded reluctantly. Some young aliens looked at each other in surprise. For the first time, a few of them understood a new way. Sira Len stood beside Marcus, holding her children's hands. Her voice was quiet but firm. We chose life. We chose each other. And that choice made us strong. You can continue clinging to old ways, or you can see that humans and perhaps all of us can be stronger together. The room was silent for a long moment. Then one of the elder women, the oldest of the council, spoke. You have changed the meaning of family, she said. Perhaps it is time we learn from you, human. Perhaps it is time we see strength in unity, not only in tradition. The words were simple, but they carried weight. Sira Len felt tears prick her eyes. Her children, too, sensed the shift in the room. From that day forward, life in the settlement began to change. Humans and willing aliens worked together more closely. They rebuilt homes, shared knowledge, and protected one another. Marcus, Sira Len, Tali, and Rin became a symbol. People began to call them the family that changed the stars. Sira Len's children flourished under their care. Marcus taught them skills, patience, and courage. Sira Len taught them compassion, loyalty, and the wisdom of survival. Together, they created a home that was warm, strong, and full of love. Even the Council of Elders began to respect them. Some admitted quietly that the human way of family, of choosing loyalty and care over fear and tradition, had value. The alien clans no longer saw Sira Len as a widow who had brought shame. Instead, they saw a mother who had survived, fought, and thrived because she had chosen life. Years passed. Tali and Rin grew tall and strong. They learned the ways of humans and aliens, blending courage and skill, compassion and strategy. They never forgot the battles of their early years, but those memories shaped them into resilient, brave young adults. Marcus and Sira Len remained at the heart of the settlement. Together they worked, laughed, and fought to protect their people. The settlement flourished, a beacon of hope in a galaxy often filled with fear and war. And every evening when the sun set over Vera 9, Marcus would sit with Sira Len and the children. They would watch the horizon, sharing stories of bravery, lessons learned, and dreams for the future. In those moments, they were not humans or aliens, not widow or mechanic. They were a family that had changed not only their lives but the lives of everyone around them. A family that proved the galaxy could be different if courage, love, and loyalty guided the way. And in whispers across the colony, across clans, and even among the humans on distant worlds, their story spread. The story of a widow, a mechanic, and two children who had shown the galaxy what family truly meant.